You don't really need to travel abroad to actually work remote. Now people work remotely, and so there are lots of opportunities that can be harnessed by the government.
Yes,
Yes,
to what extent is the government, we are aware that there is a Ministry of Digital Economy. To what extent is the government in the forefront of driving these opportunities for Nigerians to harness them, like you pointed out?
okay. Like recently, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Mr. Bossum, is currently he has a program whereby people are supposed to be trained in different areas of ICT, in areas of cybersecurity, data, artificial intelligence, and all that. So he's trying to use his office or his position now to make sure that Nigerians acquire these skills, and it's doing it for free. So people who acquire the skills over the years or after a period of time, we have this kind of quantum leap. People will become so savvy and they have the skills, and the skills are something that is very big. Even without the physical infrastructure, when you have the skill, the sky is the limit. You can take, for instance, take a look at India. They have this IT skills, and they are all over the world providing IT solutions. Yes, and in I think 2021, ICT was generated about 10% of the GDP or so. So I think there was even a tax exemption on ICT IT companies as a way of encouraging them. Yes.
Okay, let's come back to Benue State. Well, how do you assess the landscape of Benue with regards to ICT operations?
The landscape of Benue State is very good and is highly encouraging for ICT, given that there is peace and there's relative electricity, and we have institutions offering courses in IT, in computer science, and the rest. So people can key into this and build upon their ICT skills. And given the cost, the ease of doing business might not be that friendly, but it's still okay. The environment is very okay for people to. Um, the environment is peaceful and encouraging for people to leverage upon and build on different ICT skills and ICT capacities.
And our young people, do they actually have what it takes to compete with their contemporaries out there in the ICT hubs across the country, if we have them?
Yes, we have young people who are smart and if encouraged, if given the right the opportunity, or if they are encouraged, they will key in, and I think they will do very well. Some are already doing very well.
Okay, let's go back to another issue, which is also related to. You may have noticed that a few days ago, two of popular social media platforms, social network platforms, that's Facebook and Instagram, suffered hitches, throwing people into panic. What do you think could have been the reason for such outrage?
There was an outage, and I think Facebook acknowledged. Is it Facebook?
Yes,
Yes, Facebook,
and Instagram.
Instagram. They acknowledged. They all fall under Instagram. They acknowledged that there was an outage, which lasted for some hours. I think 4 to 5 hours. It was due to a technical glitch. Technical glitches to any system, so it was resolved. As a result, they claim it was due to it was a technical glitch, which was quickly resolved.
Okay, but when
No system is 100% immune to such incidents.
yes, so when all this occur, what lesson does it speak to us as Nigerians who rely on these platforms and are also active users of the social network platforms?
It's it sends a strong message that we also have to in infrastructure. We also have to have our own technology. We don't only rely on foreign technology. We also need to build our own platforms. We need to have our own social media platforms. We need to have our own mail services. We don't always need to rely on Yahoo Mail or Gmail and all that. We need to build our infrastructure. At the same time, as we build this infrastructure, we make it robust and we create redundancy so that in case of a failure, we can fall back on our backups.
And that leads us to local content. To what extent are Nigerians willing to patronize local content in the ICT sector?
Generally, Nigerians are not willing to patronize local content, not just in ICT, in the area of ICT. But I think with government policy, government will enforce it and make it as a policy that would discourage the consumption of foreign materials or foreign products. By doing that, I think we'll eventually patronize what we produce.
But do you believe that we have what it takes to produce the local content that will serve and meet the expectations of Nigerians in the ICT sector, particularly?
We have the human capital. We have a human capital that we have them doing wonderfully well around the world. We have everything it takes. It's just the will to go ahead and do it. We have the power. Electricity is very important for ICT for you to have ICT, to drive ICT. We don't have, when I say electricity, I mean we can leverage on other forms of energy. We have the gas and solar. We could build entrepreneurs could build a small energy grid which will power infrastructure, data centers and other infrastructures. So we have all it takes, just the will for us to go ahead and implement and do it and get it right. It's not going to be easy, but over time, we're able to surmount the challenges, and before you know it, we'll be competing with countries around the world.
Okay, you believe that given the needed, the right environment, we can compete with other countries in the ICT sector?
Definitely.
Okay, let's look at the study of ICT-related courses in our schools. It is argued that oftentimes what the students learn is purely theory with little or no practical. How do you react to this?
Okay, that has been that is true to some extent. The theory without the practicals. In the real world, you need the practicals more than the theory. Of course, you need to have the theoretical background for you to even understand the practicals. So it's now for the Ministry of Education or the National University Commission to restructure the syllabus to make it what they call outcome-based education, OBE. With outcome-based education, we look more out at the outcomes. What this education, what are we going to use it to do? What are we going to use it to are we going to realize with this education? It shouldn't just be about studying it for the sake of studying it. So when the syllabus are being restructured in a way where we have the syllabus are going to address problems in the society, I think with that we'll be forging ahead.
All right. Let's look at the areas, particularly which, in the context which ICT experts in Nigeria, are they credible ones you can point to that are driving the sector and making it, placing Nigeria on the global map in the ICT sector?
Okay. Are you referring to the ICT experts within the country?
Yes. Do we have such a homegrown ICT experts that are actually giants that you can point to and are also driving the sector across the world?
We have somebody at Facebook is one of the very senior and respected personnel at Facebook. We have a couple of them, so I can't actually mention, but we have people generally who are providing solutions, IT solutions, within and outside, around the world, within the country and around the world.
All right. Dear listener, let's remind you once again that the program is streaming live on all our social media platforms. Remember, we are discussing Nigeria's information and communication technology infrastructure, and iGate Radio is also ICT compliant. Therefore, on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, you follow a live stream of this program. You can also drop your comments on the link if they are related to the subject matter we are discussing. We may take it as your contribution. Meanwhile, the line for text messages is 09126999404. 09126999404. That line is already available for text messages and WhatsApp. Please remember to include your name and the location you are sending the message from. Engineer Wanshe, before we try to engage with those listening to us, remember at 10 o'clock we shall be opening the line for. Then let's look at further opportunities in the ICT sector locally here in Benue State now. Earlier on, we spoke about that on the global scale and also at the national scale. Looking back home here in Benue, what are those homegrown opportunities that young Benue people who are enthusiastic about ICT could key into?
Okay, we are looking at the area of Benue State being known as the food basket of the nation. They could key into agriculture, smart agriculture. Smart agriculture, use of, now we talk about artificial intelligence, the use of Internet of Things and integrating Internet of AI into the Internet of Things so that you can get into smart agriculture, provide smart agricultural solutions. Then we look at maybe government services, digitalizing of the government services, making government smart, governance smart. The way government goes about business, you have of monitoring and evaluation when you bring in a technology in your monitoring and evaluation, and so that projects and contracts are being monitored and evaluated for best performance and best outcomes. We also look at, in terms of health, bringing in ICT into this health sector. In the health sector, where you have solutions that you can, instead of doctors using, for instance, instead of doctors keeping files, physical files for patients, you have applications, develop applications whereby patients' records are being stored onto the server, into an application, so they can easily access and make reference to the history of the patient, so they can actually draw out a pattern. You have data analysis that could draw out a pattern and know actually how to improve on service delivery. So those are just some of the few sectors that Benue State could key into.
Okay. Looking at digitalization of government, like you mentioned, it is argued that most of government operations in Nigeria on a general note are still analog. In this digital era, how do you react to the situation where you have IT solutions, yet they are not deployed, the analog process is being maintained?
They are, technology, some people are not comfortable with accepting new technologies. They are just okay with the old ways of doing things. So it takes the head to enforce it, to encourage it. By the time that is done, they will realize that it serves them better for them to use technology in their operation, daily operations and all that.
Okay. Let's look at another direction to the internet infrastructure, as we have been pointing out. with regards to the recent glitches being experienced, in what areas do you think Nigerian investors can actually own up the ICT sector and make it serve Nigerians better, even when we don't rely on the global infrastructure of the IT?
Already, like the main one cable is owned by a Nigerian. The main one fiber optic submarine cable is owned by Nigerians. We have Glow, which is a Nigerian-owned company. It's owned by a Nigerian, but there's still room for other Nigerians to come in to invest. Like I mentioned earlier, invest in the area of data centers, provision of power data centers, and software solutions, rather than relying on foreign countries for such solutions.
Okay. So, in essence, you are telling us the investment is there with Nigerians driving the process,
Yes, Nigerians are the ones driving the process.
but are there gaps that needs to be filled, especially with the glitches? Because you pointed out here how banking operations were affected and major internet reliant operations have been forestalled. I mean, what are the loopholes that could be plugged with this situation now arising?
Uh, uh, some of the loop. Okay, for instance, uh, they rely on a, on a foreign infrastructure to house their content, to house their data. Now they could have those servers or data centers here in Nigeria rather than host uh, in foreign lands. When you have the more presence you have within your it even makes the internet faster, because each time you try to access the internet, when each time you try to access your Facebook, you have to get through a long path all the way to Europe, maybe to US before you can access back and forth. The whole process may take a split second, but it's a long period. When in terms of internet time, that's a very long period. Something which takes a split second. So if we invest more, the government investing, private sector investment, and I think it will go a long way to create redundancy or backup systems that whenever wouldn't be relying completely on Western countries.
Okay. Uh, Yesterday, when the Minister of Digital Communication and Digital Economy, Tijani Bosun, he mentioned about Nigeria's collaboration with the global investors in the ICT sector to protect submarine cables from damage. And one would wonder why the minister would say that. But is there any kind of collaboration Nigeria can actually go into with investors in the ICT sector to promote, the the safe nature of submarine cables from being damaged?
I think he said that by way of reacting to the recent glitches. He's actually said he's going to spearhead it. He will spearhead that the provision, the collaboration with other countries to provide to safeguard the infrastructure. That's a very good one. Uh, we these cables are laid in the ocean, deep ocean, and it's very possible you have monitoring teams that can monitor the same way these days we monitor the oil pipelines. It can be monitored to forestall some of these reoccurrence.
Okay. And let's see, within the West African sub-region, it is said that it's not only Nigeria that is affected, other countries are affected too. So, on the global scale, or maybe on a continental level, what kind of strategic partnership Nigeria can go into with other countries to strengthen internet connectivity within the West African sub-region?
Maybe they will need to partner in the area of enhancing the infrastructure, maybe having more of this of the cables. I think Meta, Facebook Meta, is laying a fiber optic cable down all the way from Europe. It's supposed to terminate somewhere at Lagos. They are also that's a way of enhancing their infrastructure. So if Facebook could or Meta could run a cable and a dedicated internet cable down all the way down to Lagos, I don't see any reason why West African countries wouldn't partner together to have more of the infrastructure, have more of the so that to create redundancy, so that if there's a cut, you always have another uh, another cable to fall back upon.
Okay. Dear listener, in about a few minutes away, we shall open the line for you to phone in and make contribution on the subject matter or ask questions if you have them. The number to call is 081433599292. 081433599292. That will be at 10 o'clock, just about minutes away. And if you connect with us at that time, please remember to tell us your name and where you are calling from. Then you go ahead and make your submission. Keep it very brief to enable other people to make contributions on the subject matter. Meanwhile, the line for text message is already open, and your messages can be sent to 09126999404. 09126999404. The program is also streaming live on all our social media platforms. Kindly search at Agate Radio on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and follow the live stream conversation to be a part of the program. Remember, we are discussing Nigeria's information and communications technology infrastructure, and leading us in the discussion here in the studio is an ICT expert and electrical electronics engineer. He works with the Directorate of Information and Communications Technology at Joseph Sawantaka University. Engineer Kenneth Wanshi is leading us in the discussion, and you may have some thoughts to share with us, especially with regards to the poor internet being experienced of late, and what could be the reasons for it. We have advanced reasons, and you may want to make contributions or seek clarifications further. Remember to phone in to make your voice heard. Engineer Wanshi, just before we open the line, let's look further into the areas of collaboration. Locally, is there anything ICT experts can do in terms of driving the sector more effectively, even beyond internet connectivity, to harness opportunities in the sector?
Yes, experts could go into, they can have startups, ICT incubators. ICT incubators where people are being trained on skill acquisitions, because they hope skills play a very vital role in driving ICT. So you could have startups, ICT incubators where startups, and with the funding and support from the private sector and government, I think to go a long way. And also in the area of educating the public, in the area of cyber security, because so many people are ignorant are not aware of some. So we have what they call internet fraudsters. They see this as a weakness, and they leverage on it to defraud unsuspecting people of the public. So you could have awareness in this area, and we also have incubators, the ICT incubators, where we have high skills, high demand skills like programming, data analysis, AI are being taught. That will go a long way in creating, upskilling the skills which are in short supply, and eventually we'll start seeing results.
Okay, it is argued that oftentimes the tech savvy nature of the average Nigerian, average young Nigerian, is Yahoo tech savviness. How do you react to this? How can the Yahoo kind of tech savvy be harnessed into better prospects for ICT development in the country?
Well, this is Yahoo is also, as they call it, is a moral thing. If somebody has a good moral upbringing, the person wouldn't venture into such. People who partake in this kind of scams are not really tech savvy per se, as in the skills they have are not really skills that can be harnessed, because they just leverage on your ignorance, on people's ignorance to defraud them. You could imagine that a person who does even typing, who does typing and basic computer operations, these are the kind of skills the person has. Those skills, the skills which they have, don't go beyond this. They have just basic skills. They have just the basic skills of sending emails and all that. So just because they are doing it wrongly doesn't mean they have the skills. They don't actually have those skills. They usually engage in what you call social engineering. It's in cybersecurity, it's called social engineering, whereby they get inputs from you. They use your ignorance now to get information from you, or which ordinarily they can't get. They can't use what they call brute force attack, whereby you have limited information. If you give a Yahoo boy now your email for him to hack it, he won't be able to do that. But he needs your password to access your email. So he's going to use what is called social engineering. He's going to call you and deceive you in one way or the other for you to give him your password, thereby using it to access your email or to access your WhatsApp. Ordinarily, they don't have the skills it takes to hack into a system, any system. Basically, they do social engineering. They use things like maybe they send you an email for you to click on. Then they do what they call key logging. They do key logging. Maybe they get your system somehow. They get information from directly or indirectly from you for you to be able to do this. These are basic skills that anybody who doesn't have a good heart can, if he wishes to do it, he will do it. He or she will do it. So we're talking about serious skills, serious intellectual skills. When you talk about serious intellectual skills, those guys, they don't even measure up anything close. So it's just about a moral thing, and it's for them to do the right thing. It's just for people to be willing and based on their upbringing to do the right thing. It's not about they have a skill that they are using it wrong. They don't even have the skill to start with. They don't. People mistakenly think that this Yahoo boys, their skills can be. They don't even have the skills. The skills they have are basic skills, beginner skills that any other person has, just that they're using it wrongly. So I usually disagree when people say the Yahoo can be harnessed. They don't have the skills. You have the skills. People have the skills. People have skills which are far more than that, but they choose to do the right thing. If you want to get the skills, you go to the secondary schools, you get to the university, you can get the skills. You get to high institutions, you get people who are naturally interested in this area, who are ready to contribute positively to do the right thing.
Okay, so in essence, you disagree completely that the Yahoo kind of tech savviness does not even apply in the context of ICT-driven skills, right?
It doesn't.
Okay, the reason why I brought this up in the first place is that oftentimes it has been alleged that it makes Nigerians suspicious in the international community that once you present yourself as an ICT expert of some sort, you are considered first of all as being tech savvy in the area of Yahoo.
Yes, that's the bad image they have painted generally for Nigerians, but that's not true. We have people who are doing the right things and are ready to contribute positively. It makes people around the globe suspicious. Of course, there are some transactions that you have red flags everywhere. Somebody tries to use his ATM to do a transaction here in Nigeria. the banks there or financial institutions abroad, they have really put us under, have already banned any transaction coming from Nigeria. So it puts Nigeria in the bad light. But what do we, it's just the, maybe because of economic reasons, they engage in such, or greed. Because we have people who are not, but they have not engaged, they don't engage in such fraudulent activities.
Okay, let's look at one more area very shortly before we engage with those who were already waiting on the line. In terms of basic areas of ICT training, especially with regards to software development and the older components, what kind of basic training does one need to acquire to uh, uh, drive his or her way through into the ICT world?
Yeah, basically, one would need to have basic computer appreciation skills, then beginner skills. They have the beginner skills, have the intermediate, and we have the advanced skills. So you, for someone who is starting from the beginning, from the who has no background, who start with the basic skills, then upskill later on to intermediate, whether be it in the area of Internet of Things, be it in the area of cybersecurity or application development or network infrastructure. So it takes time. It takes years of experience. It's not something you just delve into and then become good overnight. It takes time. It takes practice and patience for you to get to advanced skills and all that.
Okay, but the acquisition of training in ICT, does it necessarily require one to get educated through the process of acquiring a degree, or you can simply enroll for a training for over months and it makes you quite solid in the area you have enrolled in the training with regards to ICT?
Yes, people have done that in the past. People still do that. The people who have the interest and the will to, the discipline to, the commitment, they can do that, and where they evaluate their skills and see which areas where you have maybe their strengths and their weakness. So they key into the areas that they are good at, and over the years, it takes practice. So eventually they become good at it. So it doesn't necessarily, one necessarily mustn't go through the formal process of acquiring a degree. People do that, which is very fine. They will have an edge over those who don't do that because they know the theories behind, and they have a theory and they have the practical. So putting the two together, they will have an edge over those who just delve into it. Like the skills, some of the skills are structured, some of the courses are structured in a way whereby it's about industry solutions. So you just go straight to the industry solution. Though we have at the core, there are people who develop the technologies in the background, just like a vehicle. You have people who drive a vehicle, who learn how to drive a vehicle. You have people who design and build a vehicle. So people who are driving a vehicle, it's easier for you to drive a vehicle than to build a vehicle. So that's how it is in the IT. So for you to see a technology today, you have people who are experts, who are professionals in those areas that built that technology. Then you have people who come down to who manipulate it, play around with it to offer solutions, which can be likened to like driving a vehicle.
All right. It's about time now for us to open the line for those listening to us to also engage with us. The line is 08143359292. 08143359292. Once you connect with us, tell us your name and where you are calling from. Remember, we are discussing Nigeria's information and communication technology infrastructure, and leading us in the discussion in the studio, ICT and electrical electronics. He works with the Directorate of Information and Communications Technology at the Joseph Sawan Taka University, Makudi. Kenneth White is leading us in the discussion. and you may have questions or contributions to make on the subject matter. The number is 081-433-59292. Meanwhile, the line for text message is 09126 999 09126 That line is available for text messages and WhatsApp chats. If you are sending a message, remember to include your name and the location you are sending your message or WhatsApp chat from. Also, follow the live stream of this program on all our social media platforms, including Facebook and YouTube. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
This is Adambokan.
Good morning.
I was wondering what I would say tonight because this ICT thing is a thing that has defied my strength for a long while. Well, but one of the things I want to ask, there is this year in, year out digging of the frontages and entrances of our homes in Makurdi in the name of laying cables, and this thing can be really harassing, and most of it is at the earliest part of the year. And it's like spiritually, you can imagine you wake up first day of the year and you have strange people digging the front of your house in the name of laying cables. This thing can be very traumatizing. What can be done to forestall, to stop this trend? Thank you.
Okay, Adambokan, thank you very much. You didn't tell us where you called from anyway. But okay, Engineer Kenneth, you listen to Adambokan. Let's respond to his question briefly. He's talking about digging of the frontages, in his words, to lay cables, maybe for ICT purpose or whatever you want. Okay, before you speak to that, let's take some more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
I'm calling you from Kogi State. My name is Haruna.
Okay, Haruna who? Hello, Haruna. Oh, Haruna is disconnected with us. We would have loved to hear you, Haruna from Kogi State. Try to call back. The line is still open, 081-433-59292. That's the line available for calls. Okay, Engineer Wanshe, speak briefly to the concern raised by Adambokan.
Okay.
Again, I beg to interrupt you as we have calls waiting on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning to you.
Yes, Ekanyos from North Bank, Makurdi, Benue State.
Thank you, Mr. Mekanyogo.
Yes, you see this technology. I really thank God that this topic is on the air. We have a lot of problems sometimes. We are thinking that we are advancing, and sometimes we have a lot of problem on the way. You take, for example, like this issue of cable, laying cable. These things are creating more problems to the roads that have been constructed. Sometimes you look at it, maybe after constructing a road, at the end of the day, they will start breaking to make sure that they pass the cables. These things are causing a lot of. And when you come to the proper technology itself, our communications these days, sometimes you see what happens with the internet. Sometimes you cannot get the proper things that you have to do. And all these things are creating more problems. I think the government should regulate or try to tell these people who are managing all these things to do the need by doing the things that will be better for us. We know that there are mistakes sometimes, but then they have to do the needful. I think the government have to supervise very, very well and make sure that these things are done properly. Laying of cable should be once, and when you are going to do it, you do it where it will not damage our roads, neither damage where the water pipes are going through. These things will help us. Thank you very much. God bless I Get Radio for bringing this topic.
Thank you, Mr. Ekanyogo. Thank you very much for your contribution. Appreciate you. Okay. The same concern of laying of cables, which Engineer Adambokan raised earlier. Engineer Wanshe, you want to speak about this briefly before we take more calls?
All right. Thank you very much. The laying of fiber optics cable is still on the issue of laying of fiber optic cable. As the networks expanded, there was need for expansion And the only infrastructure which can carry this volume of traffic is still the fiber optic cables. That's the reason why you have the digging or the trenching going around. It's not just here in Makurdi; it's across the country. The NCC has given out licenses, and for this, they have the permissions to do it. They have the license to do it. They try to expand the networks too, because the volume of traffic keeps increasing. If you go to Abuja now, you already have what you call fiber to the home, where people have fiber optic cable down to their homes where they connect and stream and have uninterrupted access to the internet. But the issue here is the way they are going about it. We didn't plan. It's a case of putting the cart before the horse. We're supposed to have marked areas and created ducts wherever we're building roads. Create ducts for such for cable for things like cabling, but that wasn't done. So now we have to we keep going back, breaking of roads that have been constructed to lay fiber optic cable. It's about the planning. We didn't plan. The government didn't plan right from the inception. In advanced countries, these things were planned, and so you don't see this going back and forth. If it was good planning and implementation, we wouldn't be going through all this. Cables, there will be clear marked areas where you have ducts for cabling. So it's not just about constructing a road. You create ducts for power, for water and other facilities that you need to provide, utilities that you need to provide.
Okay, so Edambao Khan and Meka Nyogo, I hope your concerns are noted about cable. But one wonders why the Nigerian Communications Commission, that is the regulatory authority about this whole, most times you see poor internet being experienced, but there is never an official communication emanating from NCC as to why the poor, like this particular incident, we haven't had any explanation coming from NCC as to why the poor internet is being experienced. Do you think, as a regulatory body, they are living up to expectation?
As a regulatory body, they're supposed to have informed the public, but I wonder why. I'm not in the position to say because I don't work with the NCC or the.
No, it's based on your assessment as an ICT expert.
The public should have been informed adequately. Although we see it on the pages of papers, the news on the pages of papers, like you said, the NCC should have come out to release an official communique to the public, telling them of the incidents.
All right, let's go back to earlier on. We were talking about training. Okay, the training one requires to be grounded in the ICT sector, and you talked about the immediate, intermediate, and some of the categories. What kind of basic areas, especially with regards to software development, for instance, an average Benue young man that wants to take up in the area of software, what kind of areas should he show interest in or key in particular with regards to software development?
We have applications development. There are a lot of there's a lot going on in the area of software. We have applications development now. We even have applications or software development at the level of AI, artificial intelligence, which is very hot. We have data science, and a whole lot. So a person who's trying to get in could start from the basics of programming, maybe in the area of PHP, programming with PHP, with Java, with programming with Python. Then from there, the person could advance and to other areas.
Okay. Earlier on, you talked about incubation centers, ICT hubs. Do we have them available here in Benue? And how can ICT experts like yourself drive the process of having them if we don't have them in Benue?
The ICT, we don't have, I don't think we have ICT incubation centers here. I think the private sector could key in, would encourage that. The government also would encourage that setups incubation ICT incubation hubs, whereby young people are being trained, are being encouraged, and being trained, and are given projects to handle, thereby enhancing their skills. Because like I said earlier, the environment is very convenient for people for such to try, because it's not a very harsh environment in Makurdi here. So it's just about the right encouragement and the right investment, which wouldn't take so much, because it doesn't require the buying of expensive machines, importation of expensive machines. It's mostly brain driven. So we just need to have a building with the right how do you put it, the right ambience, the right tools, computers, convenient power, and then you have the instructors, or you have instructors who are going to
Hello, good
to
morning.
train.
Let me interrupt
Yes.
you quickly.
Okay.
Hello.
I just called back. Please, I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Another serious dimension is this issue of these servers, these unsolicited messages. There was a time that Nigeria Communications Commission gave directives that they should stop harassing customers. But the thing has become worse, in the sense that if you look at in the past, when you called, you immediately got your balance. These days, there are all kinds of strange languages talking about gigabytes purchase of data, and then at the end of the day, ask you to dial another number. And you know we have a society that the percentage of illiterate, of the basic literacy, is very high. Not to talk about digital illiteracy. And these things are making people really angry. So, Communications Commission, what is their role indeed? Or have they become armchair public servants, as is generally the case in Nigeria? Thank you.
Okay. And thank you very much. So sorry I interrupted you. Please conclude your thoughts on the ICT hub. You were talking about the ambience, then we'll dive into other issues, the right environment that somebody willing to invest in Benue can thrive.
Yeah, it's about having the environment. When they have the right environment, the young people like to have a good environment where they can be comfortable and they work, where ideas will flow. So when you have, and there's money to be made, because by the time you have people who are in this, who are under an ICT incubation center, you could go into an agreement with them that if they produce a particular solution, they will have a percentage, and if the solution eventually gets into the market, there's a percentage that is for them that they can get. So these are ways to encourage the young ones.
Okay.
Then talking of the unsolicited messages, this is a thing that everybody experiences. Most of us experience it. So it's up to the NCC to enforce or to bring in stiffer penalties, because the same NCC was the one who laid down the guidelines of unsolicited messages. Service providers sending unsolicited messages to customers, they seriously frowned against it. But now we see a resurgence of such messages. So it's for the NCC now to enforce.
All right. Let's take some few messages, then we'll come back. This one says, ICT innovations are not encouraged by Nigerian government because it will limit cutting of corners. Andrew Wange from Makudi. Okay, thank you, Andrew. for your message. This one says, "Good day, Nathaniel and your guest. I am Maxwell T from High Level Makudi. In countries like Korea, students are innovative and creative. A student in Korea will manufacture an electric car and so forth. Here in Nigeria, what are students who went to technology and technical schools done? What have students, okay, that should be it. What have students who went to technology and technical schools done so far, as in create or innovate to show that at least technology is advancing in Nigeria?" He is asking us, let's ponder on this. What are the ICT, what are the novel, beyond the electric cars he's talking about, what are the novel solutions, IT solutions Nigerians, IT experts have deployed that we can proudly point to, Engineer Wanshi?
Well, there might be solutions, but that I'm not aware of. But talking of Korea, these are advanced countries where you have infrastructure. They have the infrastructure. Everything is there. They have the internet, high-speed internet. It's just now we are trying to catch up on the internet thing. They have all what it takes to be creative. They have the government encourages them and all that. So coming back home here, first of all, like I said earlier, the syllabus, our educational syllabus, is now an outcome-based. It's not based on what you call outcome-based education. It's centered more on theory. So you have to have a blend between the theory and the practicals for you to come out with industry-based solutions. Then talking about people discouraging the use of technology, well, people maybe you could attribute that to corruption, because when you have technology, it reduces shortcuts. It reduces some shady deals that are going to take place. So you have logs, you have monitoring systems, and it becomes very difficult for people to cut corners. By the time you deploy technology, that could be the reason why some people would not want to have integrate technology into their operations, particularly in government.
Okay, let's look at the rising cost of data for internet connectivity. Before now, the telecom service providers, 1 gig data, for instance, was going around between 350 naira to 500 thereabout. But now it is not normal. Do you think, we're given our framework of ICT, the cost of data that we have, and oftentimes there's poor internet connectivity, that data is justified with the cost it is going for?
The cost is you can justify the cost because of what you can achieve with the data. People tend to make lesser calls these days with their call credit than with their data. They make a lot of internet calls, WhatsApp calls that are almost next to, when you look at relative to the data you consume making a WhatsApp or video call, it's almost like free. So people and look at the telecom, the ISPs, the telecom companies, they make more profit from data, from selling data. They sell more data than they sell credits, than they get more from data compared to what they get from voice calls emanating directly from their service provision.
Okay, so yes.
Okay, so like there was a time the telcos wanted to increase the cost for data and for calls and for data, but I think the government prevailed and they had to step down.
Okay, so could it be the reason why I brought this up in the first place is that even with the rising cost of data as it is, there's still poor internet. That sometimes you subscribe data, you don't get to use it until it expires. In this case, would you say the cost is justified?
No, no, no. In this case, it's not. It's for the authorities now to come in to address, to enforce, and to bring punitive measures against uh, defaulters. We understand that networks are growing. Now we have 5G. We have 5G. We have 4G. Even the 4G is not in all locations that you get a 4G. The 5G is just coming it's coming up gradually. The 4G service is not even everywhere you get it. That's even a concern for people who are heavy users of internet and they need high speed. So there are some locations that you move to, you don't get the 4G. Some locations you get the 3G. Of course, more than 90% of the locations you don't even have the 5G. So for someone to subscribe for a service and it's not giving value for his money, I think the person also can take it up. Just that we just overlook things here in Nigeria. If you take it up and make it an issue, it will be addressed.
Okay, let's look at this issue of banking transaction, internet banking. I'll come back to that after we must have taken some calls waiting on the line. Hello, good morning. Morning to you.
My name is Ibrahima Akura, a regional representative from Banku, Machap, in Bogoro government.
Thank you, Igbayima Akura, for joining us. How is Banku Matiab this morning?
We are fine, sir.
Okay.
I regard your guest in the studio.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. My take on today's topic is that I want to call on the government to provide another environment for people that are endowed that sector to thrive. What am I saying? If the level environment is created, those that are talented in that field, in all sector of ICT, will come on board and showcase their skills and talent. And then later on, government will engage them and harness their talent locally here to fashion out ways of doing the ICT effectively. Thank you, sir. That is my take.
Thank you, Igbayima Akura. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. Government encouragement of those who are gifted, who are in the areas of ICT. Okay, Engineer Wanshi, before we took that call, let's talk about this banking, internet banking, and with the poor internet being experienced recently. You mentioned earlier how banking transactions were affected. How does this impact on the economy, especially within the ICT landscape?
It has impacted negatively for the customers and the banks, and generally for the economy of the country. Where transactions are not going smoothly or are failing, it's a serious concern for investors and for. But it's a force majeure. It's not something that happens every time. It happens. It's beyond our. It happened and it was beyond our control. So if we had a backup infrastructure, of course, some of the companies have rerouted their traffic to other companies providing core internet services. So they're picking up gradually. But the damage has been done already. And the serious, the downtime, the glitches, and the negatively impacted economically. There are losses. Everybody will count losses. Individuals, the companies, and generally the economy, to the tune of billions of dollars.
Okay, so how do we work towards fostering these glitches in the future?
These glitches could be forestalled by providing a redundancy, creating backup links. By creating backup links so that you don't rely only on one source. That will go a long way to forestall such glitches in the future. That's in the area of interconnectivity. In the area of data, having it's highly recommended that we have data centers in Nigeria, and we also patronize those data centers, encourage them and patronize them, so that we have a good part of our content. That's good for our security. It's good for our security, our confidentiality. When you have your data, the data that you are able to have total control over. If you could remember, the INEC server was not even IRF server the server was not even hosted in Nigeria. It was hosted far away by Amazon. So you look at if it was hosted in Nigeria, you wouldn't be talking about even wide interconnectivity issues or network issues. So it would have been that we're operating on a local area network. The traffic emanated from Nigeria began and ended truncated in Nigeria. So we wouldn't be talking about we would have been talking about glitches in terms of network glitches and all that, because it's unlikely to have network glitches when you have a local traffic. So those are the kind of issues and areas that in future or the government needs and the Nigerians need to look into. And we also need to learn how to patronize our services, our companies. It may not look be all fine in the beginning or smooth, but eventually we'll pick up and everything will move smoothly.
Okay. Okay. When you mentioned INEC yesterday, while watching the television, I saw on television where INEC was promising to deploy AI in the forthcoming election in Edo and other parts of the country. And one was wondering if IRF could not work, whether AI will work this time. But hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning to you.
Nathaniel.
Morning.
Yes. My name is Andrew Wange. I greet you and my brother in the studio there.
We greet you too, Andrew
I
Wange.
greet you, Mr. Wange.
Yes.
Where are you reaching us from, Wange?
Okay, Makodi at Nima.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Andrew Wange.
Yes. I just wanted to maybe make a contribution or a comment regarding maybe why we don't host most of our ICT. Why we prefer hosting most of our ICT infrastructure or data internationally. Okay, now if you want to hosting your ICT information internationally saves you from a lot of things. Like you need a physical ICT infrastructure to host data. You also need physical security. So by the time you pay a company who provides these services, which takes care of their security and their infrastructure, all you need to do is to pay money to them to host whatever you host your data. I mean, it saves us a lot, because here we have problem of electricity, we have problem of security, we have problem of infrastructure. So contacting an external company to host our data saves us from a lot. You don't need to take care of the physical security infrastructure. I'm talking about a security guard. Because if you set up an infrastructure, you have to hire a security to stay there. You have to buy the equipment. You have to maintain those infrastructure. But if a third party is hosting that for you, they take charge of everything and you pay them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that contribution, Andrew Wange. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Okay. You listen to Andrew Wange. Does that collaborate with what is obtainable in the ICT world, Engineer Wange? Engineer Wanshi, sorry.
No, okay. Yes, insecurity is an issue. We know that we have insecurity issues. These are issues that can be addressed by the government. But hosting of, well, what I actually meant was not every individual who wants to host an application will create this infrastructure. There are companies, like we have a RAC City in Lagos. It's a company. It has the servers. So what you just pay for, you pay for a small space or a large space, depending on what you can afford to pay. You pay for the space. That's a platform as a service. Call it PaaS, platform as a service. You pay for the space. That's why it's obtainable. That's what most Nigerians currently do when they subscribe for services abroad. You have the data centers, which are physical warehouses that warehouses this data. So people pay for a space on the physical server. You pay for a space for your memory, for your hard disk. You pay for a space. They handle electricity. The company handles the electricity. They handle the network. They handle the maintenance and everything. They handle the physical security. So what you just do is you subscribe for a particular space of memory, of hard disk, or processor speed on the server. So you pay for it. I agree with him. The area of insecurity. Insecurity is a very big challenge because you don't need to compromise data. If you have insecurity, people could actually break into a data center. If you have a place like Maiduguri, you have a data center there, you can be sure that one day the place will be bombed, and you're going to lose your data. So nobody will want to have his data hosted in places which are not stable. Take for instance, like we have is the issue of insecurity. Before we have Afrinic. Afrinic is a company which is an organization that allocates bandwidth to countries allocates IP addresses. IP addresses are allocated based on country. So if an IP address is coming from Nigeria, I know this IP block is from Nigeria. It's coming from Niger, I know this IP is from Nigeria. This organization was domiciled in Egypt. But during the Egypt uprising, they had to relocate to, I think, Madagascar or so. They had to physically relocate their servers from there because of instability. They had to relocate. So security, having a peaceful environment is good it's not only good for more business. And when you look at the European countries, look at US, there's stability. You have a lot of those companies to subscribe over there. But that's not to say we don't have. There are some here in Nigeria, but it does need to be setting a good example by patronizing foreign. They should be able to provide adequate physical security to their infrastructure, at least for the government infrastructure, and maybe have backups. That's for having your servers in Nigeria doesn't mean you wouldn't have a backup somewhere else. You can have it here and have backups, which is normal practice, which is best practice. You don't keep information or data on one physical location. You distribute it around based on continental and all that. But it's good for our internet availability and for our search engines and all that when you have some of those data housed here in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification there. Hello, good morning. Hello. Oh, quite unfortunate. We lost connection with that call. Okay, the line to call is to 08133 59292. The line for text message is 09. Oh, it does appear that this network glitches is bedeviling us, even as we are discussing it. Okay, let's talk about cyber security. What kind of consciousness does internet users need to have with regards to cybersecurity, especially in the light of the glitches being experienced now?
The glitches we have right now are not due to cybersecurity.
No. What I mean is, with the situation as
Okay.
it is, you are aware of how Nigerians can try to manipulate before you know something. Let's engage with this call, please. Hello, good morning.
I hope this glitch will not take place anymore. And about count briefly.
Edamok,
advice.
this will be the last opportunity
Yes,
we'll give you.
Manshi,
All
I
right.
greet you, Kenneth. You have been very versatile.
Thank
And so
you.
now that I've learned your name, Engineer Wanshi, I will greet you once more.
Thank you.
Not good morning. Again,
Morning.
happy day.
Thank you, sir.
The advice that I have for ICT experts in Nigeria is that the more you teach, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the more you earn and upscale. And the more you upscale, the more competitive you become globally. I have noticed that most ICT experts, people who are in ICT, tend to be a little difficult in passing knowledge. And I pray that they realize when they go low on money making in the early part of the business, they will have more profit at the end of the day. So I beg them to learn to be able to be more generous in passing. They say, freely have you received, freely must you give. And to conclude, they should realize also that as they put
Hello.
part of the world,
Yes.
it is not the best for us. Because when the security issues, like the other caller, Andrew Wange said, you end up passing jobs to other people in Europe and America when our teaming youths are roaming the streets. What is it? How much do you pay a security guard? Generally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Edamok, for dominating the program. 3 calls only from you, beyond the normal. We accept only 2 calls from one person on the program. Anyway, Engineer Wanshi, who were speaking about cyber security. The reason why I brought that up is that with the internet glitches being experienced, there is a tendency of Nigerians taking advantage of the situation in diverse ways. What kind of consciousness do we need to ensure cybersecurity, to instill cybersecurity in people, especially at this moment that the glitches have been experienced with the internet?
Okay. Like I watched a short video clip this morning about a Yahoo boy that was complaining. He has all the while he has been deceiving a MAGA or a client somewhere that is in US, and for 3 days now he's not able to reach his clients. He's the excuse of network unavailability. How come? So it's like he's going to be exposed now because he's actually in Nigeria claiming he's somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah. So even the people who are scamming are also affected by this glitch. So it's not so good for them to. But coming back to the question now,
Yes.
people need to be informed. There's supposed to be an awareness, a campaign of awareness to people so that they don't fall prey to this poor victim to this criminal. People should be given aside this. People should be given basic education about this social engineering, because most of the incidences are based on social engineering. They usually request information from you. They ask you for they post there from your bank. They ask you for your ATM numbers, the numbers on your ATM card, and they use that against. Ordinarily, if they don't have the numbers, they can't get to you. So they use what they call social engineering. They hardly do you see anyone use brute force. It takes so much talent, intellect, and time, even when you know what to do, to use brute force just ordinarily without having information, getting information from you. So what they do is just basic, and it's still basic knowledge in things they do. So, but so many people are ignorant of these things. So they work on your psyche, they work on your ignorance to to cash to deceive you. But if there's awareness, if there's a wide awareness, people will be aware and they will.
Apologies, please. Let me interrupt
Okay.
you briefly. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Could you speak up a bit? We can hear you. Hello, tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Hello.
My name is Stacy Joseph.
Okay. Joseph who?
I'm calling from Makodi.
Joseph, what is the other name? Joseph, where are you? Which part of Makudi? Tesu. Okay, Tesu Joseph. Which part of Makudi are you calling us from?
It's at the supermarket.
All right, go ahead, Tesu Joseph. We are listening to you. Hello? Hello, Tesu Joseph? Oh, Tesu Joseph, you are on, but it does appear you don't want to speak to us. Okay, please continue with your thoughts on the cybersecurity aspect you were talking about, Engineer Wanshe, so we can conclude on that and go to other issues.
Yeah, to cut it short, is creating awareness. When people are fully aware, if people are aware these basic tricks they use, they won't be in business because it's just basic. And the way they tend to get some of this to get away to scam some people in Western countries, because the way the system operate, they operate based on trust there. The way you do a transaction here with your ATM card is not done there. Over there, you just need to impute the numbers on your ATM card, and you're able to consummate a business, a transaction. Like most transactions in Nigeria here, after doing all that, you still get an OTP, a one-time password.
Yes.
Yes. So over there, I could send an email to a friend to go to a bank. I could send an email to my bank to pay money to a person. But here we don't do that in Nigeria here. An email is not enough for a bank to pay money to someone. The person, even when the person gets to the bank, they try to verify if you are actually the owner of the account. So they operate there. The operations in most Western countries is based on trust. That's why I say it's a very smooth, very easy ground for them to scam. And back home here, they still find their way when they cashing out on people's ignorance of over basic things that they shouldn't reveal.
Okay, so it's actually good that we have spoken about this, because, like I mentioned, with the situation of poor internet connectivity subsisting,
yes,
before you know, somebody can call that I'm calling from your bank. We're having problem with your account, forward to so and so, and someone can fall victim of such. So that is the reason for such awareness at this particular time with the internet, the poor internet has been experienced. I think those listening to us, you'll be enlightened that the situation is a general glitch. Earlier on, we had pointed out how banking transactions were affected. A number of transactions failed. A colleague tried severally to initiate a transaction. It wasn't going through, and so many people have had stories to share about the situation. So please be careful in this particular moment so you don't fall victim to those who are taking advantage to scam people at this time. Let's take a few more messages, then we'll come back and try to conclude gradually. This one says, to enhance performance into the Nigerian Information and Communication Technology, the Nigerian electrical and electronics engineers ought to invent a mechanism as weather-resistant device to that effect, thereby strengthening the links within the lines of the internet. A battle cry by the government as an investment to do away with this ugly trend. Good morning, panelists. Isaac Utsua from EA in Goma. Okay, Isaac, thank you. You electronic engineers, I don't know what it may go beyond the electrical electronics engineers, but Isaac Utsua is giving a charge to engineers there to see what they can do, especially at this particular time. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello. Oh, okay. Let's try to gradually conclude on this program, Engineer Wanshu. In all of this, earlier on, you talked about local investments of data. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes.
You are on. Speak to us. Good morning.
Good, good, good.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Engineer Wanshu. So sorry, the glitch in network is persisting, and we are also affected. So
Yes.
let's talk about how earlier on you talked about content generation, local data companies being set up.
Yes.
What kind of mechanism should drive such local data companies if they are to be created in Nigeria?
Well,
By investors.
yes,
because
by
you
okay.
talked about private
The
investors.
these are basically hardwares.
Okay.
Yes, hardwares. You need servers, which are hardware servers, software servers, and hardware servers. Basically, the hardware servers. You need available electricity and even backups, because a data center runs 24/7, 365. You don't need to have issues with power, power outages that will corrupt data, or people are not able to access, because people all access this data.
I beg to interrupt you very briefly. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Stacy Joseph.
Okay, Tesu Joseph, we can hear
Yes.
you. Speak to us.
Yes, we're supposed to enhance like electronic cars, but because the fuel is scarce, fuel money is scarce now, so engineers will enhance electronic cars. But
Hello, Tesu Joseph.
yeah,
Yes, electronic cars.
yes, so that they could stop spending a lot of money for buying fuel because it's too costly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Tesu Joseph. Thank you. Finally, we got through to Tesu Joseph got through to us, and wonderful recommendation is proffering. We will speak about that briefly. Okay, continue with your thoughts on the data.
The infrastructure.
Yes.
I mentioned servers. I mentioned power,
Yes.
available electricity, and even a backup source for the electricity, because you don't need to have a downtime even for a second. Then you need a cooling. Of course, the cooling comes with electricity too. The power is then a physical location where it's secure, a secure and physical, location which is secured against physical attacks. That's what basically it takes. Of course, you need the personnel to train and skilled personnel to manage this infrastructure.
Okay. Tesu Joseph asked engineers to develop electric cars. Do you see that happening in Nigeria in the near future? Engineer Washi, on a lighter note.
Yeah, we have electric cars. Electric cars now is
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria, we have people coming up with electric cars. It's not really an innovation. It's there. The innovation has been there. It's just people now, entrepreneurs now to key in. You can actually convert a petrol car to an electric car. What it just takes is just one or two components and a lithium-ion battery to do that. By doing that, you actually save a lot on petrol or fuel that you buy, a fossil fuel. People actually can convert the same way people are converting. They're using CNG, converting the gas to use CNG or to run dual CNG and petrol. So So it's not like an invention that is not there. The invention is there. It just takes to go into large scale production, because the way you can do it as a business and make profit is when you go into large scale. You can convert your car into you can make a car that can use you can make a car which uses electricity, but is it going to be economical? It's going to be costly for you, because the economics of scale. It's when you are doing massive production. Look at the typical case of Innocent. Innocent produces cars, but he's not doing it at a very large scale. So he's not going to make that profit that you find Toyota making. Toyota makes thousands of cars a day because they have a large production line. They do everything, the engine, the body, and all that. They don't even just buy and assemble. So when you do it, they're doing it. The knowledge for doing it is there. The skill for doing it is there. It's just the manufacturing process. They doing it as a business so that you can get profit. You can do it, but it will be very expensive when you do a single unit. But by the time you do it as a business, you have this skill thing. Once you do it as a business, you get the machines, import the machines from Europe or from Asia. They manufacture the cars, so it's not like a technology or innovation that people are not aware of. People are aware of. They have the skills to do it, but doing it as just like painting a photograph. A person can paint just one photograph at a time, but here we have a camera. A camera can snap thousands of pictures or photographs in a day. Why? Because it's a machine that is doing it. So by the time you do it, it's done as a business, automated as a business. It becomes profitable.
Engineer Wanshe, our time is up. But if you were to give one advice to the average internet user in Benue State at this time of internet outage, glitches being experienced, what would that advice be? Very briefly, this is seconds.
Yes, they could use other providers. There are other services that are better. They are running better. There are some that are worse hit. So you could use other alternatives. If you have Starlink, you can use your Starlink. If you are using a satellite transmission, satellites for your internet, you could rely on it. If you are using mobile data, you could use other service providers. I don't want to mention them, but it depends on your location you are and which one works better for you until the situation is addressed, the issue is addressed.
Engineer Kenneth Wanshe is an ICT expert, an electrical electronics engineer, and staff of the Directorate of Joseph Sarwan Taka University Information and Communication Technology. It's been nice speaking with you on Perspectives. Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us on the program.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Dear listener, this is where we must conclude on today's edition of the program, which we focused on Nigeria's information and communication technology infrastructure in the light of internet outage being experienced recently. We must appreciate your listenership. Thank you for the calls and text messages. Your contributions made the program worth a while. Perspectives will come your way again on Wednesday with another edition. Join us on Wednesday to be a part of the program. My name is Nathaniel Nongo. Have yourself a great week and goodbye.